Hi, welcome to Laura Stampin' Studio. I'm also known as the Firefly Stamper, lighting up one heart at a time with our card creations. The card creation that I'd like to share with you today is a partial die cut. And I learned this through a group of demonstrators who got together and we were taught by our upline, Tina's Ink, and I wanted to share this with you. So here we go. I'm going to face the camera down onto my table and you'll get to see what I'm doing. Give me a moment to adjust the camera. There we go. All right, how are we doing there? Let's do a little switch around. All right. I want to make sure that you're able to see what I'm doing. So there we go. The card that we're going to create is this card. And I am using, for my stamp, I am using the Art Gallery stamp, this one, the Group of Flowers. I'm also using Cherry Cobbler cardstock. So it would have been an 8.5 by 11 sheet that I cut at the 5.5 mark, and I'll score at 4 1/4. I'm also using for my designer series paper this gorgeous paper, and it is actually Fine Art Floral Designer Series paper, so we'll be using that as well. I am going to be embellishing my card with the Holiday Rhinestone Basic Jewels. I'll be using this color, this kind of goldy yellow color. We'll also be using the stitched circles dies, it's actually called, and I don't have it in front of me, so I can't remember the name of it. I am going to tell you that it's the stitched shapes, and so there are circles, ovals, and squares in this, and I'm going to be using this one to cut out a circle on my cardstock, my Cherry Cobbler, and so it's going to look like this. And then I'm going to use the smaller circle down after I stamp this flower to cut it out. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So first of all, we'll get a piece of cardstock. And with the cardstock, I'll need my stamp. And here's my stamp, as dirty as it is because I've been using it. And I'm using Old Olive. I am using Coral Calypso ink. I am using Cajun Craze, and I am using, I did say Old Olive, and I'm using Crushed Curry. So the first one I'm going to use to do this is actually the Old Olive, and I'm just using right from my stamp pad onto the stamp, and I'm going to do the leaf roughly here, as you can see. I am going to then take my Crushed Curry, which is a yellow, and I'm going to actually go a fair bit over the flowers. Make sure I have them all covered because we'll be using the other ones to accent. Then I am going to use the Coral Calypso, and I'm going to touch it here and there, give it a little bit of color. And then the last one I'm going to use is the Cajun Craze. And I'm just going to kind of go around some tips of the flowers. The next thing I'm going to do is take my little bottle of spritzer water, and I'm going to spritz it, but away from my cardstock. And that is going to sit just for a moment, because the next thing that I want to do is cut or show you where the circle is that I'm going to be cutting out. So I know I want to cut out this circle. And in order to be able to cut out that circle, I want to know where to place the flower. So I'm going to draw my just a light pencil line on the inside, a light pencil line on the outside. And there we go, my pencil lines. I'm going to spritz this again to make sure that it's going to accept the ink. Then I'm going to decide what I want to cut out, because I want to have over the line whatever it is I want to cut out. So I want to cut out those flowers there. So I'm going to do it something like that. I'm going to hold it a minute. It is quite moist, and for it to accept all that ink that is on that ink pad. And I'm going to lift, and there is my stamped image. And as you see, I have some pieces that are going over top of those lines. And so now I'm going to show you how to cut it out. I'm just taking a moment to close all my stamp pads that I had open. One more. There we go. Now, as I do this, I want to explain that these circles are my guides. So I know it's going to cut here, and I know it's going to have your stitched portion is going to be in here too. So I want to keep that in mind when I'm cutting. Now, I'm going to concentrate on these two flowers. So anything I cut out, I want to make sure that I am cutting out by them. So I am going to go around here. I'm going to get rid of some of this extra cardstock so I can work a little better. So what I'm going to do is actually, I want to slide this in front. So I'm going to go there, and I'm going to go here and cut that out. And I know this is all going to get cut, but what I want to do is just do a slit so I can get the die behind just down the edge of this flower. And I'm not going to, just there, just so I can get the die down the edge of that flower. Now I'm going to leave a little white around the flowers that I'm cutting out here. And as you know, when you cut, you need to not only have your scissors willing to move, but you need to move your paper. And I'm sure you know this already when you're doing the fussy cutting. So there we go. And I'm going to go around here. Now I can see where my line there is again. And I think what I'm going to do is I am actually going to cut down that line. And I'm going to go over here. And I am going to cut down this line, and I'm actually going to cut that piece out afterwards. And I'm going to cut around this flower. And that's where it's going to cut out. So I'm going to go around this one. And I am going to just cut down the edge so you won't be able to see it until that gets cut out, and cut this off. So now when I take my die, I'm going to slide that die in here behind that slit I made beside the flower right there. And I can see I'm not down quite far enough. So I'm just going to go down a little bit farther, just right on the line of the flower. So anything that doesn't get cut, there we go. Oops, this way. There we go. Now, I think that side's cut far enough, but I don't think this side is. So let's do this a little differently. We are going to go over here, and then I'm going to slice it right down where the color is so I don't end up with a, there we go. Now we can get the die. So you can see on this end and this end when I'm putting the die in, I've just kept it very close to the flower so you won't be able to see the transition, except over the edge. Now I'm going to slide that in. Oh, perfect. So you can see how I can match it up now with the circles that I drawn, and I'm going to be erasing those out. So I'm going to go cut this. So I'll let you look at the card while I go cut it. I'll be about a moment. So I am back. This is the one I just cut. So you can see where I just cut, and it's I've allowed this to go in behind, so you won't be able to see where I've cut that, or this one, because they were nice and close. So what I want to do now is I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut down here and just finish this and go around. There we go. Easy as that. So now I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to go back and I'm just going to erase out those lines that I did very lightly. And that just helped me position the die afterwards. And I think I will also come back and just cut down here a little farther. The tendency is to want, I found when I first did it, was to want to cut too much to start with. And so the thing I learned is where the die is going to bump up against what you've already stamped, you just want to do a slit down the edge of that flower, for instance, whatever you're working on, and right there. And when I get that all put on, you're not going to be able to see that. Oh, I still have some lines left here. There we go. All right, so now I'm ready to, and I actually did another one to have it all ready, but both of them are very similar and ready to roll with those. And I'm going to glue that onto here. So let's get some glue, and I will use Tombow glue. Now, so have you done this before? This was a new to me. Oops, now this is going to, oops, got a little bit too much right there. This was a new technique for me. I don't know if it's a new technique for you, but it certainly was for me. And but it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed learning it. It took me a few tries, but I remember growing up, it was always the thing that was told to us was if you don't succeed, try again. So there we go. That is already glued on. And the other thing I want to glue on, so here's my piece of cardstock, which is the 8.5, this is the 8.5, and it would have been 8.5 by 11, and I just turned it around and cut it at 5.5, and then scored it at the 4 1/4 mark. And I've already stamped this with a happy birthday just to save some time. So I'm going to show you something I'm going to do here. This is a little different. This we didn't do in our class the other day, but it's how I made my card, and I wanted to show it with you. So basically, you're taking that full sheet. This piece here is a 1/4 inch smaller, obviously, than my cardstock, so that I can make a nice border all the way around. And if you'll notice on my card, before I put this on, if you'll notice when it opens, you see how that goes? It looks like it's a full front. All I did is I took this piece and I just cut a piece that's down the side. And I'm just going to tell you how much of that I cut. And that is about 1 1/4 inches. So I came 1 1/4 inches in from this side. And I'll show you that in just a moment. So I'm going to do 1 1/4 inches. So there's my 1 1/4 inches. I cut off the front, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it on this side. And then when you close the card, it looks like the full front. So I'm going to do that next. Scared to squeeze my bottle that I'll get too much out. There we go. All right. So I'm going to take this, and of course this is my edge that I want to be facing out, and it's going to be the same size, same length as the card back. And there we go. Oh, make sure you get it right along the side. And as I do this, I don't have it up close enough to me. There we go. So right along the side, and when I close the card, as you can see, it's all going to line up beautifully. Oops. There we go. There we go. So there's my front of my card. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to adhere it, and I'm going to decide how I want it turned. If I want it turned this way, like this. If I want it up and down, I think I'll do this. And I want it to be evident that this is going over, and I want some flowers in behind on this side. So that's where I'm going to put it. So I am going to just kind of take notice by the edge of this flower into here. And when I put glue on it, I don't want glue on that portion. I don't want glue on that portion, so I'm going to do glue on this portion. And there we go. I'm going to bring it back here, my glue, and I'm going to do here. There we go. So however you decide to do it or put it, that's how I'm doing that one. Then I'm going to take my gems and my pick tool, and I'm going to put some gems on this. So here we go. I think I'll take one large one, and I think I'll put the large one right there. Then I'm going to take a smaller one and put one right here, and then I'm going to take another small one and do here, kind of a triangle shape. So there we go. That is your card. So it opens up this way. And then on the inside, I would do my measurement of what I have left there. So I did 1.25 inches here. So I want this inside piece to be, I would say, about 2 3/4 wide. So I'm going to measure that 2 3/4 wide. And I'm sure you know that it's better to take off less and be able to take off more than to take off too much. That's perfect. As you see, I've already stamped this with the same stamp in the yellow. So I'm just going to put some glue on the back of this. There we go. And slide it into my card. And if you want to put stamp a sentiment on that, I probably would do it before I would actually put it in the card. And just so that you have able to fix anything that you might make a mistake on. It's easier to fix it before it's put in. And there we go, as that card is completed. So I hope you've enjoyed this demonstration. Oh, and I should mention that this sentiment, Happy Birthday, is actually from the Special Someone set. And inside on this one, I put Birthdays Are the Best, and which is actually from another set as well. So it's interesting how you can use your different sets and take sentiments and sayings from different things and then put them on your card. So I hope you have enjoyed this time together. I'm going to turn you back around, I think. And if you give me but a moment. There we go. Sorry about that. I have to rearrange my my phone, my camera, and so there we go. I hope that has been something new for you to learn, as it was for me to learn, and I hope you've enjoyed this time of this partial die cut, and I hope you may learn to make that card and share it with someone so you too can be able to light up someone's world one card at a time. Thank you for watching.